Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Anya and in today's video I will be wrapping up the no buy year with the final update as well as introducing my plan for 2021. I'm currently wrapped in a blanket because it's a bit cold here and December has been a bit rough with me as it usually is, and I've been in bed for most of Christmas. But I thought I would wrap up my project and talk about how it's been and a little bit about what I plan on doing next year. My plan for this year with the no buy was to not buy makeup. I had 3 goals and 2 rules for the no buy. My rules were that I was only allowed to buy makeup if the category that the item would go into was either empty or had its goal number. The goal number was something that I set for each category by the beginning of the year, and the goal is essentially to shrink the categories by as much as I wanted to and not buy anything into them unless I had managed to hit that goal, with the exception which was the accessible base. The accessible base was a collection of 5 products that I pre-chose by the beginning of the year that are part of what makes makeup accessible to me. I am disabled and one of the things I struggle with is fatigue, energy and also hand pain, and wearing makeup can be a bit difficult for me sometimes. So I wanted to make sure that even though I was going on the project of trying to use up as much as possible, I would still have makeup that would be accessible to me, easy for me to use and put on, and that would give me a base for any kind of colour cosmetics. And the accessible base was born. It contained the Fenty Pro Filter Primer, my Makeup Powder Foundation, NYX Micro Brow Pencil in Auburn, and then it had 2 unnamed spots at the ends. It had a mascara that holds a curl and a brow gel that holds my brows in place. Both of those were unnamed because I have multiple of those that can do those jobs. I kept to those rules for about 11.5 months. I did end up breaking in the middle and at the end of December. Overall, I feel really happy. My goals for the year were to use everything in my collection currently open. Did not get to that. I managed to use 711, give or take a couple here, pans out of the 1273 that I started the year with. I realised like in May, probably earlier, but by May I knew that getting to my goal was going to be difficult because I needed 100 or so pans per month. I started the year really sick, recovered after about a month, and then fell into a flare in March and was really sick for another month. So the year started off kind of rough. And that meant that I couldn't wear makeup as often as I wanted to, and I fell behind on my goal fairly quickly, and by I think June or July I had pretty much given it up and was sort of like, I'm just going to use what I want to use now, try and pan as much as I can, but also get to stuff that I want to test. Get each category down to their goal number, or as close as I could. I ended up doing a bit of adjusting after my declutter, which happened. I did it at the end of November, the videos went up in December. I did end up going through everything. I went and sat and looked at my list, which I have on my laptop, which has an inventory of absolutely everything I own. I ended up looking through every single category after I had decluttered and thought to myself, is this what I want it to be? Do I want the number to be lower? Do I want it to be higher? And I discovered that for me it was 2 categories, and that was single eyeshadows, specifically the ones in powder form, and eyeshadow palettes, and also kind of cream eyeshadows, but mainly powder eyeshadows. They were 2 parts of my collection that I didn't mind if it grew. With a lot of my other ones, I realised that I kind of want less than I had, and so I ended up adjusting some of the numbers up and down. Not drastic, so there's not a big change in a lot of them, and for a lot of them they ended up staying the same. But overall, my powder eyeshadow singles as well as my eyeshadow palettes were ones that were adjusted up so that I was technically allowed to buy more into them. But I realised then that, what does my collection look like? How am I feeling about it? And I realised that after it was decluttered I felt fairly good about a lot of my collection. I have done a pretty good job this year, I feel, of getting rid of things. I've done a lot of decluttering, and I wanted, with the things that left my collection, for 50% of that total number at the end to be things I actually finished, or that went off, expired, got old, could not be used. But when I did my pretty giant declutter in December, I skewed the numbers because at that point I'd still managed to keep more than 50% of everything that's left empties. But after December, I skewed the numbers a little bit the other way, and in honesty, I don't feel bad about it because I know my collection was old. A lot of the stuff I got rid of was many years past its prime, and I ended up getting rid and finishing 308 makeup items in 2020. Out of those, 211 I have counted as decluttered. 308 items left my collection this year, which to me that's baffling. That's so many things. So many things. I ended up finishing or decluttering almost one thing from every single category of makeup, and I'm feeling really happy about that. I haven't actually updated this in a couple of days because after my declutter there was a lot to update, and the final numbers for everything got a little bit jumbled in my head because there was 138 things to put into my list, and that takes a lot of brain power, and I don't have that in December. And my current makeup collection right now on January 2nd stands with 570 items, and I started the year with 862 items counting each sample. I'm not going to go through every single category because that would take a long time, but I'm extremely proud of myself because I did not think that was possible. I was sort of hoping to get below 700 items. That was like the goal I was shooting for, because I knew that with finishing and decluttering I would probably get 100 items out of my collection this year, but 300? No way. I did not think that was possible, and I was I was shocked when I finally updated that after that declutter and saw that it jumped from like 100 and something to 300. I had to count a couple of times because I thought I had miscounted. When it kind of hit me that no, you have not miscounted, you've just decluttered more than you thought you could finish in an entire year. And it kind of hit me then that you have spent a ridiculous amount of money on makeup in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Please never do it again. So then on to how the no-buy has been and what I bought. The no-buy for the first at least 4 months was super easy. For January, February, March and April, I don't think I thought about makeup. I've been trying to sort of keep a wish list, and it went fine for the first couple of months because the second I essentially put anything onto that wish list, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to touch that, because I didn't think about makeup. For the beginning of the pandemic and lockdown, when things were like actually closed in Norway, I didn't think about makeup at all, especially not buying it. I was making do with what I had, being happy seeing progress and feeling really, good about myself for not buying and not even being tempted properly with things. The second lockdown hit, which hit us at the end of March, I thought, okay, fuck the no-buy. I'm about to buy things. But for pretty much the entirety of the pandemic, my thoughts have been try to save as much money as you can. Don't buy anything. It's just not really been on my mind to soothe myself with retail therapy. I think that's one of the major highlights for this year, because that would absolutely have been something I would have done in the past. I would have felt sorry for myself when things were not looking great, especially when my health had a small decline the end of March and April due to not being able to see my physical therapist and also being sick. But I would have absolutely turned to retail therapy, and I'm really pleased and proud of myself that I didn't. In March I ended up picking up 3 NYX micro brow pencils. I wear the shade Auburn. I picked them up on a 3 for 2 sale. This is my favourite brow pencil. It's part of my accessible base. I'm not 100% sure that my rule would allow me to actually buy multiples of this because I had other brow pencils and it did actually exceed my goal number for them. But that's kind of the way I've always been with makeup, especially with things that I know I'm going to reach for and use. I'm going to buy it on sale if I can and save money. And for me, I've done this with 2 items this year. This brow pencil is one of them. I'm going to keep doing it with the brow pencil especially. I've opened that last one. I opened it on Christmas, I think, Christmas Eve, because I use them and I go through them, and I would have finished all of them had I not had to use other brow pencils, but also I had to use eyeshadow in my eyebrows for a while when my hands and these tiny eye pencils were not getting along. It was a solid 2 months where I don't think an eyebrow pencil touched my eyebrows. But I bought 3 of them because they are my favourite and I use them. Then March, the Colourpop Milan stuff was released. I didn't end up buying anything from the Colourpop Milan thing, but my sister bought me the lip kit and the eyeshadow palette, so I have them. Then on May 16th, which is the day before Norway's National Day, I ended up placing an order for the Fenty Pro Filter Face Primer. I finished the Fenty primer on the 17th, the next day, because I knew that I was going to wear it on the 17th. And I knew I had 1 use left, so I ended up picking this up at a sale. Then June came along, and for a couple of months I had gotten more into no foundation makeup essentially, and using only cream products. And I had concealers I was using, I had fallen in love using colour corrector, and I had cream bronzers, and I had cream highlighters. But I always feel a bit naked without blush, and I don't own a cream blush. I did not when the year began, and it was a category I planned on keeping empty. I mentioned this multiple times. I used to hate them. I hated cream cheek products. I was planning on finishing all the ones I had this year and never buying them again because they never work for me. I always used to be someone who sat my face with a powder, and I could never successfully apply cream products on top of a set face without disturbing my foundation. But this year I've started enjoying less coverage, using colour corrector, and then also cream cheek products. And after a couple of weeks, about a month and a half of using various lip products as blush, I ended up buying my cream blush. And I was jumping between a couple. I had this one from Makeup Mecca, the Cheeky Blush in Squeeze the Day. It is a peach colour. I also had the Milani Cheek Kiss one and the Isadora Blush Stick. Those were the ones I was looking into. I ended up picking the Makeup Mecca one because it was the cheapest on sale. I bought it. I love this. I have used a fair amount of it, and I can see myself expanding my cream blush collection next year. I do now also have a couple of other cream blushes that are lip products that I don't use as lip products. I use them solely as blush. So I will probably try and work my way through some of them before I buy anything, but this has been one of my favourite purchases all year. I have absolutely loved it. And in that purchase I ended up also picking up my powder foundation because I was about to run out of the one I had. And I have the Hello Pretty powder foundation in Marshmallow here. I bought 4 of them, and that's where you may say I broke my no-buy the first time. I'm not going to get through 4 of them in a year. I could justify it with a brow pencil because I can get through 3, 4 or 5 of them in a year. With the powder foundation I am lucky if I can get through 2. So I have one here, and this is brand new. This is one of the ones that I purchased, and it has not been opened. I have used one of them, and I've almost finished one out of the 4 that I've purchased. I have major pan to the point where I might have to start bringing this in soon. When I bought this, it was on sale, and I ended up getting 4 of them for the price of 1, and I feel okay, and I still feel okay. I felt good about it at the time because I knew I was going to get to them, and I still feel that way. I'm absolutely going to get to all of them and through them before they go off, and that's kind of how I buy those utilitarian things that I know I'm going to use and use up and get through. I don't mind buying multiples of them on sale as long as I know I can finish them before they go off, and with both of those things I know I can. The Makeup Mecca cream blush and powder foundation were purchased at the beginning of June, I believe, and then I didn't purchase any makeup until October 1st. I ended up placing an order for my colour corrector because at that time I had run out of my Makeup Mecca one, or I had recently decluttered it because it went off. So I bought myself a new one. This is currently the only one I have, and it is a favourite of mine. I do love it a lot. And I also decided to pick up their brow soap, which was something that they released this year. Mine is still in the plastic packaging. In July I ended up buying brow dye because I was planning on dyeing my eyebrows into more of an auburn shade so that it would be easier for me to fill them in, and so that I also wouldn't always have to fill them in with a pencil. But I kind of liked having them dyed because my eyebrows are naturally blonde, kind of grey, but a lot of them are invisible. So it makes drawing eyebrows on a little bit difficult. But I bought the brow dye with the plans of dyeing my eyebrows, and then I bought the brow soap with plans of literally using this to just brush my brows up and leave them at that. I haven't opened them. I also haven't opened the dyes. My brows haven't been dyed, I will probably do that this year, absolutely, but this is something I do want to try with that specifically in mind, because I don't know how the brow soap is going to react to eyeshadow or the eyebrow pencils, because if they're going to move it around, I don't think I would like them, but we will see. And then I did nothing until December. And in December, I have made 3 sets of purchases, one of which is within my rules. I finished my Smashbox Primer Water at the beginning of December and I replaced it with the original one. And then I did something that I thought about doing for months. I bought a hydrating foundation and concealer, and I ended up going with the Colourpop Pretty Fresh. I bought the foundation and the concealer in the shade Fair 05W, which is a slight warm undertone. I was originally thinking about the Fair 10 Neutral because I am more of a neutral undertone, but I can wear a slight yellow undertone better than a slight pink one, and looking at their swatches, the neutral one looked like it would be way too dark for me. I ended up going with Fair 05W. They've not arrived, which is why I can't show them to you. I also picked up one of the Raw Beauty Kristi Super Shock shadows because they were doing a restock that day, which might have been why I purchased it on the 11th. I picked up the shade Campfire because it is a copper, which is my favourite one, and I had gotten an email from them a couple of days earlier for my birthday that I had a free Super Shock shadow. So I got essentially the price of the Super Shock shadow off my order, but I didn't actually take it off the Super Shock shadow because I think it didn't apply to the Super Shock shadow because it was a collaboration. It took the price off of everything else. And I also ended up making a purchase of an eyeshadow palette. I technically purchased 2 eyeshadow palettes. I bought the At First Sight one, which was the Raw Beauty Kristi collaboration, but I bought it because my mum didn't want to buy it for me for my birthday, so it is a birthday gift from her. And then I bought my sister and myself the Child palette, which was one that I originally did not think I wanted or needed. I've never seen Star Wars, I want to, and I have never seen The Mandalorian. I have seen Baby Yoda though. When the Child palette first came out, it didn't interest me because I don't wear those types of greens very often. I don't wear greens often at all, but especially those kinds of tones. I don't really wear them and I don't own them. But then in the Colourpop group that I am in on Facebook, people started posting their looks and I realised that I actually don't have any colour that's even slightly similar. Maybe I have one. And I realised that this year that I like eyeshadow a lot. I like playing with eyeshadow a lot, with colours and textures, and specifically colour. I've gotten more comfortable playing with colour this year. I kind of went, I kind of want it to, and I added it and bought it. Slightly impulse, which not the best, but looking at the total of this year in versus out, I feel more than okay about it. And then New Year's Eve. I've had my eye on Cliona multi-chromes this entire year. From January, I always looked at them, they're always really beautiful. I follow them on Instagram, so I see their pictures of the newer ones. And some of the newer ones they released earlier this year, when I couldn't buy them, were like high on the list of things I wanted. They had a sale at the end of December and I put a good handful of eyeshadows into my cart and left them there for about a week because I was planning on holding off until it was technically January 1st for me. The sale would end on New Year's Eve, but in their time zone, and I am about 7 hours ahead of them, 7 or 8 hours ahead, so I could technically have waited until January 1st, but at that point I had also started planning for this year's project and it would break my rules, and I had already broken my rules once and I felt perfectly fine with buying them on sale. And so I picked up an order from Cliona with 6 eyeshadows, 5 of which are multi-chromes and 1 of them is a regular shimmer. I picked up the shade Glimmer, Gloaming, Lunette, Throne and Harris. Not sure how to pronounce the last one. And I picked all of them up in the pre-order version because you could pick up some to be shipped immediately and then you could choose a pre-order, which means that mine won't be shipped until the end of February, which means they will probably be with me in May, and I'm excited for this. And part of the reason why I ended up buying them in December instead of January was because my bank has notified me that they're changing some things with how they're processing online orders, and essentially they need verification every time I use my card online, which is something a lot of websites, especially non-Norwegian ones, they don't have them, which means that my card will be declined, which sucks, because I was planning this year to buy more indie makeup, and I am 98% sure that my card will be declined if I try to purchase from any of them. I will probably still try, because I don't know if it's going to affect PayPal or not. That was my no buy. And as I said, 308 makeup items left my collection and 22 came in. 27 if you're counting the Milan, the At First Sight and the lip kit, but 22 versus 308 is pretty good with me, and I am really proud of myself for doing that. And now quickly my plans for 2021. I was unsure for a long time what I wanted to do, for a couple of reasons. The main one being that I am staring at financial uncertainty head on. I am on a certain kind of welfare, and it's a temporary one, and you can get, I think it's 3 or 4 years, and after that you get no more, unless they decide to grant you extensions. In March I will have used up my 4 years, and my plan this year was to apply for disability benefits because it 100% fits my case. They apparently don't think so, and they won't even let me apply, which I am extremely annoyed at. And I plan on arranging a meeting with my caseworker, who is supportive, but I'm gonna have to put my boss pants on and be a bit strict. I hate being confrontational, and especially with authority figures, I am afraid of them because of what's happened in my past, and I don't know what's gonna happen in March. I don't know if, because he thinks I am gonna be paid until September, which was when I originally got it, but I got it in September with back pay from March, so I don't think I'm gonna get more unless they officially grant me an extension. I am planning on applying for disability benefits, whether he thinks it's wise or not. I have the paperwork, I can get more if he needs them, because I absolutely think it's what suits my case the best. But because of financial uncertainty, I didn't know what I wanted to do this year. I am doing a budget with all of my expenses. I've been on a bit of a fluid budget this year for 2020, where I have not been super strict, but I've kept an eye on everything and sort of trying to figure out what is like a comfort place between getting everything that I need, but also having a little bit of money left for things that I want, and putting as much money as I can into savings, knowing that come March I might not be getting anything. Because of that, I have a budget for makeup, which is 200 NOK Norwegian krone in a month. It's not a lot. For a reference, one micro brow pencil from NYX cost 125. I am also going to operate a little bit under the system of 1 in, 1 out, because I still want my makeup collection to shrink. I still have the goal numbers on every single thing, and they are going to stay. I'm going to check again in a couple of days, reevaluate if there's anything I feel needs to change, but I'm still going to operate a little bit under the rules of don't buy anything into a category if you are over the goal number. But 1 in, 1 out is kind of the way I'm running it, and I'm not keeping that specific category unless it is lip products. Because lip products is a category that I feel like I'm swimming in. I have so many, and lip products tend to go bad quicker than eyeshadows, and I want them gone, at least as many of them as I can. For lip products, if I want to buy a lipstick, I need to either finish or declutter a lipstick, preferably finish. I want to try and pretty much only keep my decluttering this year to the stuff that goes bad. For everything else, I want to try and finish as much as I can. I will be doing some form of a project plan. I'm going to make a separate introduction to that. But with lip products, if I want to buy a lipstick, one lipstick has to go. A liquid lipstick, it's the same. For everything else, it doesn't matter what category. If I finish a primer, I can buy an eyeshadow and those kinds of things. And my budget, it does kind of roll. I set it low on purpose so that I can roll it over onto next month's if I want to, but I can also put the money that I don't spend into savings. I haven't really figured out all that much what I want to do. I know that I don't want to do a strict no buy again, but I do know that I'm not going to buy a lot of things anyway, mainly due to the financials. I have a budget of 200 that I can spend every single month. That does not include skincare, it only includes makeup. I do have a separate budget for skincare, but that is a little bit more fluid. Some months there's going to be something, other months it's going to be empty, because I don't need to buy skincare every single month. It's going to be a thing where if I finish something I can buy something else. Skincare is not something that I tend to overbuy in. I do have a couple of things I want to finish, mainly in the mask section, but with everything else, with the things I use frequently, I don't overpurchase in skincare. I've only had that issue with makeup. I'm kind of a bit excited and nervous for the low buy this year because the last time I did a low buy I ended up with mixed results. I did well in the months where I had the rules, which was to not buy much, but my feeling at the end was still that I have purchased too much. So doing the low buy, one in, one out, along with a budget, I think is going to be the best for me, and I'm excited to see what happens to my collection, how it continues to evolve, and in the end I'm just really proud of myself for what I did in 2020 with makeup. I think I did good. Even though I technically broke it, I'm leaving the year feeling happy and excited for what's to come, and I think I did well. I was hoping to keep this video short, but I don't think I managed it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're doing a project yourself this year, whether it is makeup, skincare, books, gaming, music, whatever it is, and whether it is a no buy budget, low buy, tell me about it in the comment section below, and I wish you a happy and safe 2021. Bye!